All right. This is officially, this is show business scenarios. So I'm going to address anything going on in your actor world that you would like some insight, advice, my thoughts, whatever to. But you have to type it in, and you have to type it in as clearly as you possibly can. And if for whatever reason the folks are here, nobody has one, well, then we'll just end this. No big deal. If you do, you got to type in the showbiz scenario. Is there a resource? Okay, so here we go, everybody. Is there a resource or way to rate agencies by level of clout? It's a great question, Michael. And the reality is, back in the day, there sort of was, but the answer to the question is not really. There is not a source. A lot of people would tell you that you can do it in a certain way. Hold that thought, Paul Christian. So, there is a way, Michael, to do it in a two-step process, which is how a lot of people would do it today, is that not every company lists their entire client list on IMDb Pro, but many of them do. And so what you can do is you can do an IMDb Pro search for the agency or the management company. You can take 5 or 10 or 20 of the clients that they may or may not have listed there, and then you can go check their star meter. And that's not a perfect answer by any stretch of the imagination at all, especially when you start talking about commercial representation. But the truth of the matter is, that is basically one of the only ways to do that, because there is not an actual rating system that can occur. And if you know of someone specifically, understand that you can always call SAG-AFTRA, and you can ask flat out as a union member, you can ask, hey, who represents, and there's also a whorepresents.com website, who represents this person if you don't know their name. And then you can go look them up on IMDb as well, and look at their star meter and or at least their working history, because star meter doesn't mean everything, man. I mean, star meter is kind of like about current heat. So there's incredibly successful people whose star meter may has fallen, below what we think is really cool. So keep that in mind. But no, unfortunately, there's not any flat out way to rate it. And I still would always say, before I get to Paul's question, I still would always say, having had as many representatives as I've had in my career, if you're sitting at a non-star or development level, the truth of the matter is, the value of any representative is the value of how much they consider you and push for you every single day, and what your actor activity actually becomes. Because the truth of the matter is, and I'll finish with this about the concept, which is such a great question, Michael, of rating representatives. Here's the truth, y'all. Sorry, 90%, and I think I'm even being fair with that. I could maybe even say 94, and I don't think I'd be wrong. Again, I just make shit up. But I would tell you gently, 90% of all representatives globally, agent or manager, are basically the same. If it makes people feel better, I'll say, okay, 85. And then I'll say that 5% are really, really lame and lousy. And then when you look at the other 10%, the other 10% would be made up of the top 1%. And then you could spend lots of time, kind of to your point, Michael, sort of trying to figure out where the next 2 to 5% falls, and then that 91 to 94, 95% boutique, but with a few key powerful clients. When you start trying to break up 91% to 99%, because the 1% are very easy to understand, that gets pretty dicey. But in general, unfortunately, 5% of the representatives around this world are lame and just sort of pandering to some BS. But 85% of them all are what I call breakdown representatives. It's just a transcendent metaphorical statement. They're simply representatives who get up every day and they work hard and they love their clients and they have people that work, and they keep the bills paid, and they react to what we all call globally now, because of breakdown services, a breakdown, and or what is out and available in the legitimate part of the paying actor world. And that's 85 to 90% of representatives, in my opinion. Whether you want to try to label them as we did back in the day, from B plus all the way down to C minus or D, The bottom line is, if somebody's in business and they remain in business, they must have somebody who's working, which means they have some level of respect, some level of clout, and or at least some level of relationships within the casting community in their city and their marketplace, that they're able to keep the bills paid. So that's kind of how I would assess that. It's a longer answer than I thought I was going to give, but there we go. Okay, Paul, onto your question. How do you narrow down, this is going to get sexy. How do you narrow down areas of industry versus typing and what I enjoy doing? Okay, well, Paul, you might have to clarify for me what the typing part of that is, because if you would have just said areas of industry versus what I enjoy doing, I think you mean because there are things you enjoy doing that are not as aligned with your type, how you look to people, that your sort of maybe basic, attractive white guy look kind of belies the shit that you love doing as a performer, because you like doing maybe more goofy shit. I'm thinking that's what you mean. Yeah, okay, cool. So yes, I mean, here's a joke I'm going to make, Paul. How about this? I've never done this before, by the way, but so if you're a guy who loves Revenge of the Nerds, but you just don't look like you're a nerd and you wouldn't have been cast in the movie, what the hell do you do about areas of industry? And so I get that. Yeah, you would have been the guy who was the person hazing the nerds as opposed to being one of the nerds, and I understand that. So what I would share with you to do is I would share this. And by the way, there's a part of me, because I call myself a goofball all the time, there is a part of me, slick my hair back because I have such a goofy, weird face that it can look fairly decent some days, and other days you're like, wow, you're an ugly son of a bitch. With glasses, hair slicked back, weird crap, whatever. I would share this. I would tell you that you have to focus on 3 areas of industry, whatever they may be. Whether one of them is sketch comedy, and one of them is commercials, and the other is blah. I would tell you just to, hey, Callan, welcome in. And if you have a show business scenario, be sure you type it in. I would tell you, Paul, that I think emotionally and psychologically, it's a really good idea to spend 2/3 of your time on the artistic area of industry that you freaking love, and spend 1/3 of your time on the part that show business says to you, this is where you're more likely to make money. I'm not telling you that that's the right formula. I'm sharing with you that that would be my opinion. Of all the years that I've been doing this, of all the years that I've seen this profession, what I would share with you is, I would share with you that would be, hey, Nikki, welcome in. Welcome, you guys. I would share with you that would be my opinion, Paul. That because you're such a perfect type for, let's just say, what my entire career is, episodic drama, that episodic television, hour drama television, would be the business money area where you might want to stay focused, and or let's say commercials. But then whatever 1 or 2 other areas of industry, whether it's spokesperson, whether it's host, whether it's studio feature films, whether it's, modified agreement films, I don't really care. But I, in general, as you know, I'm not a big advocate of actors trying to actually actively pursue more than 3 areas of this industry and just let representatives in the process take care of the rest. I make the joke all the time that, I did every daytime show in Los Angeles except for one, Days of Our Lives. And that's just how that goes. Nothing against Days of Our Lives. I just never did it. But the key being is that I never pursued daytime television. That's the key to that. I never pursued it. That doesn't mean that agents didn't call me for auditions and I booked them, but I didn't actively pursue it. So when it comes to what you're pursuing, I like to see us limit our days and hours to just 3 different areas of industry. And in terms of your type versus what you might easily get paid for based on your look, I would share with you, I do think that the soul of an artist and the soul of a performer needs to be fed by that which you love. And so I'd probably tell you, pursue two of the ones you love, even though your physical type may belie that, and then make sure there's one really intelligent area of industry that you put effort towards, because you're pretty easy to hire in that area based on how you look. That would be my response to that in general. Callan, again, welcome in. Nikki, welcome in. Okay, guys, that covers the show business scenarios I've brought to this point. So I'm waiting for the next one. Somebody throw me out a question, a scenario, a problem you're currently facing. It can be as simple as what to say to my representative. It can be as difficult as FICOR. It can be this time is y'all's. This is exactly what. And by the way, that's why starting tomorrow as well, I'm going to be doing one set piece, one set subject of The Actor Overcomes a week, and I'm going to do 2 or 3, not sure yet, various times, this Ask Me Anything show business scenarios, because so much of what's going on with us as actors is what's happening at this millisecond. So Callan, Nikki, you guys can make sure, if you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, when this is over with, while you're watching, go over to YouTube to The Kevin E and make sure you subscribe, and you can see the 360 videos. I'm putting more content there all the time. Carla, welcome in. Good to see you. Hopefully, or at least I'm hoping, you have a particular show business scenario that you would like me to answer or address. Please bring that up. Again, guys, it can be anything. Do not hold back. Don't think it's stupid. Don't think that it's too simple. There is no simple when it comes to this profession, because even our black and white contract cause us conundrums. Why? Simple answer. We are, unfortunately, the most undereducated profession in the world. It's not even close. It's genuinely not even close. I get asked all the time, after having written my book and all the years that I ran the Actors Network, I would get asked constantly, how come people at universities didn't actually teach this stuff? Well, it's a simple answer: because they don't know it. University curriculums, at least in the United States of America, and even probably more so in Europe, they're just simply driven towards the show part of show business, which I certainly understand. Obviously, show comes before business, so you have to be talented as a performer. Yeah. But to say that we're not going to cover it all, I mean, guys, I spoke at UCLA way back in the mid-90s for their orientation week, when they were trying to orient their film and television students to the idea of performing for money. And it's because that's how I met Christopher Gorham. It's how he met me. It's just simple that you have professors and people in those positions that simply... What's up, JC? Good to see you, Joey. Maybe Joey will throw a show business scenario at me so I can spend my next 10 minutes addressing an actual question as opposed to just yammering on. But the reality is, you guys, is that these professors, even people that used to be in LA, they didn't delve into this the way I have delved into this. And I've been doing this now since 1991. Okay. There we go. Chris was great. Lincoln Lawyer. You see, well, okay, Alana, here we go. Here's a question. If a master contact list is a mess, that's funny, and needs to be revamped, and it has people on it that I guarantee do not remember me, should I start over and make a new one? Do you mean make a new master contact list? Hell no. Hell no. 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 Did I say that enough? No. Alana, don't do that to yourself. That's not necessary. Somebody not remembering you doesn't have anything to do with the fact that it's legitimately true that you either encountered them in person, they saw your work, and or you know for a fact, these are my 3 definitions of someone being on your master contact list, not a target list. All those videos are on the YouTube channel. Or you know they saw your demo reel. So whether they remember it or not doesn't change the fact that you're on your master contact list. Your answer to that question is much more, and this is why you see, guys, you'll see this on my YouTube channel. I talk so much about language. I just did it on the preceding IG Live. I just did it in terms of how we say stuff. So that's much more, Alana, what you would send somebody, how you would communicate with them, and what first two sentences you would say to them to remind them of having encountered you, seen your work, or seen your demo reel. It's not that they get removed from the master contact list. Hell no. As a matter of fact, since you brought it up, I'm literally, and I'm not going to say his name, but I'm literally about to, because Kevin, I practice what I preach, you guys. I don't just run my mouth and play this bullshit. I do this shit. I'm literally, Alana, about to start a very short, small campaign towards a monster person in this profession that literally I did 2 of his shows in my career. And he has a current show, aside from the fact he'll always have a show, but he has a current show that I very much believe my ass should be on. And I've waited long enough through the first couple of seasons of the show to let all the favors and all the buddies and all those people get hired and let them pass by to where you finally get far enough into the success of a show where, you know, you don't necessarily owe a bunch of people favors anymore, but it's still a very high level show and it's hard to get an audition for. But this is a person who, and I know this person knows me because of doing those 2 shows, I even got an offer for one of his monster feature films. It didn't wind up working out, but I haven't encountered that person or talked to that person or engaged or worked for that person, Alana, in 10 years or close to it, thereabouts, right? So I'm doing the same thing, but I know for a fact he's going to remember me when I start doing what I'm going to do. But that person would never come off my master contact list. Hell no. They're a major contact for me in this profession. We don't hang out. He's not a friend, but he sure knows me. I've been on 2 of his shows that won awards. So anyway, no, don't ever. The starting over part is not about someone being on your master contact list. It's just about the language that you use when you re-engage them. Okay? It's much more that. All right, guys, we got about a good 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left on this half hour for Ask Me Anything. Callan, Nikki, y'all feel free to ask me any question. Joey, bring something up. Paul, throw something at me. Y'all got to have some shit going on. I mean, it's crazy out there. Okay, he's staying. Oh, wow. Help staying motivated, not feeling the hustle. Yeah, hell to the new. Okay. Yeah, no, Carla, the hustle is a pain in the ass. There's no question about it. This is what I'll say about that. Carla, I adore you. You're welcome to that language. I stay away from a phrase like side hustle. I stay away from some of these things. We all function differently, so it's fine with you. It's fine with you. It's just the active pursuit of this profession. And staying motivated is hard. It is. But that's one of the reasons why I am such an advocate and such a believer in distinctly in your body, always separating the show, the craft, the fun of performing, the fun of using our instrument, well, of course, versus the actual pursuit of the business. Because to me, they're literally as different as apple pie and a hammer. They're just completely different. They're not remotely the same. Thanks, Alice. Awesome. I'm SAG. I can't find auditions without having a theatrical agent. I know you say 64 of the others industry people, but mailing hasn't worked either. Okay, so this is one of those questions, Alice, and this is probably going to wind up taking all the way through. It's a wonderful question. Thank you for asking that. In that, mailing hasn't worked. So you're going to have to engage with me, Alice, on this a little bit, okay? So my demo reel is pretty good as well, and I don't know where to go from that. Okay, cool. Oh, Allie, I'm so sorry, Alice. Allie, so do me this. When you say mailing hasn't worked, can you quickly type in for everyone, what have you mailed? Because I have to clarify whether or not you've actually mailed what I call naked postcards, which are postcards that just show up. I got you, Allie. I got you, Allie. So, you bet, Carla. So have you sent postcards or have you sent 8x10s when you say mailing hasn't worked? I can't actually say what I'm going to say out of respect to you before I know what you've mailed. So if you can quickly type for me, what for the most part you have put in the mail. I have mailed people that I love to work with. Yes, I understand that, but what have you mailed by U.S. mail? Or do you mean email? I need you to be exceptionally clear so I can make sure that I respond properly to the type of mailing that you've done. Have you sent 8x10s? Have you sent postcards? Or when you say mail, do you mean email? Just pop that up for me real quick. So I wrote letters for them. Oh, okay. So you sent letters like in a letter size envelope? Yes, I got your picture. Absolutely. I'm really just trying to figure out the size or what it is that you sent. Did you send an 8x10 envelope and a 9x12 envelope? Is that what you sent? 8x10 headshot? Is that what you mean, Allie? That's what I'm asking. Postcards, 8x10, or something else, or email. That's what I'm asking. So just clarify that for me real quick, and then I promise I will answer your question. A letter with a small picture on it. Okay, cool. So you sent it in what I would call an odd size. You sent it in a letter envelope or something else. Cool. Not 8x10. Awesome. Thank you. So somewhere along the way, Aline, just so you know, it's very funny that you're here and you asked that. Nobody did this 30 years ago. I know you don't know me, but when I started the Actors Network, I'm the guy that basically created the concept of constantly sending things in what I call odd size mailers, meaning either in a business envelope or actually sending things in a 4x6 or 5x7 envelope that may be postcard size, but they're in an envelope so you can't tell what it is. Looks like an invitation, looks like okay, that's cool. Now, I'm not going to bother you, Allie, at the moment, so we don't run out of time with how much you did this or how often you did this. But I am going to say that it is imperative we as a community understand that unfortunately, and I'm going to go back to the thing I just said about the person that I'm pursuing myself, that's a huge contact. I'm not just going to send him something once. I am literally going to send him the same exact thing every 2 weeks over the course of 12 weeks. Not a joke. Because I can never know when one of those will get to someone. So one of the key things that I'm going to say is you mentioned that you can't get theatrical agents. So I'm guessing that some of what you've mailed to people are to theatrical agents. And I'm going to guess, you don't have to say anything if I'm right, I'm going to guess that in your letter or in your note or whatever you put on the inside of that envelope had the ability for them to go find and watch your demo reel, which you have already stated you feel pretty good about. And so you feel pretty good about the number one tool we have as actors, which is your demo reel, and the number one most important piece of marketing, which is your face, and that has gone out to people. So my question is going to be, to how many people and to how often did you send it to them? Because sending to somebody once, in my opinion, typically doesn't work unless, Allie, you happen to just catch them at the right, it's like dating, right? At the right moment, at the right time when they were looking for your mug, your type. So to me, I'm still a big advocate of sending to casting directors once every 6 weeks for an entire year, to agents or manager once every 6 weeks for an entire year. Producers and directors, people like that, you can send to a little bit less, maybe 4 times a year. But we need to be repetitive with our mailing. Because things change and they forget. I mean, one day they don't have a slot for somebody who looks like you, and 2 months later they do. So this is, the roster client list of a theatrical agent or commercial agent or manager, they change all the time. So one of the main things I'm going to say is that if you have not been repetitive in your mailing to the same individual, sending the exact same thing, yes, with a very short note, that's got to become part of your protocol, which is you do it repeatedly and repeatedly because you never know. I was once known way back in the day as the flyer guy because I sent so much shit. But this is what it takes. It's hard to know when something lands on someone's desk, literally or metaphorically, at the right time, at the right moment. It's very hard to do that with a client list. Also, there's another side to this. There's 2 other sides to this that I'm going to share with you. I do believe, by the way, of course, and that's a whole different subject I can't cover because I only have 5 minutes left. I do believe you can get theatrical auditions without an agent because I did it my entire career and I do it today. And that has to do with going directly towards producers and directors with the same type of mailing. It just requires more work, and we don't like that, and I understand that. But you can unequivocally create legitimate actor opportunities in film and television for union work, same as me, by going directly after what I call the others, or what I also call the guy. And the guy means that's the person in charge, producer in television, more often director in film. And so the repetitive part, thank you, Ali, I really appreciate you being, since we don't know each other, I really appreciate you being honest about that. The repetitive part is crucial because so much of representation in meetings is timing. That's why I always make dating analogies. It's a stupid joke I make that we've all encountered people in our lives that we wish were single when we were, or we wish we were single when they were. And so there's a timing reality because representation is so much like kind of getting into a relationship, right? So I would really encourage the repetitive, but also this. Also look at ways that you're able to send people a direct link to your demo reel and just ask them professionally to take 2 minutes and watch it. And here's the last thing I'm going to say about expanding your horizons in the area of people being aware of you. People talk about social media all the time. I have plenty of that on my YouTube channel. Please make sure you guys go over there and subscribe. Get all your friends there because there's a lot of shit on there that's going to be helpful. But in the vein of social media, let's not worry so much about who follows us. Let's worry more about who we follow. And so, with all respect out there, Ali, there are probably some agents at agencies or managers at management companies that you could probably find on Twitter and you could probably find on IG and follow them. See the things that they say. See if they lend any information to something about their life, or you can see something about their life that you can put in a note. Maybe you guys share the same love for the same kind of dog or cat. Anything that allows you in one of those letters you send, that rather than writing a bunch of stuff, you're able to just go, oh, P.S., I love pugs too. A lot of this profession is very personal. It's very familiar oriented. So anytime you can find a familiarity ground with someone and mix that into that little note that you send, it can be very helpful. And that's why we should spend more time following the targets of people that we want to meet and want them to meet us, as opposed to just wondering how come more people aren't following us. So those are all things that I would add to this conversation, is that you've got to be repetitive, 100%. Just people are just too busy. You definitely want to try to identify platforms or places where you think you can push out your demo reel link, just a link so they can click and watch. And you definitely want to try to start spending more time having more of who you follow on social media, mostly Twitter, IG, quite frankly, not so much Facebook, of people that you would either like to work with, have represent you, or encounter at some point. And spend more time worrying about following them and gleaning from their accounts what you can about them as a person, much more so worrying about how much they do or don't know you exist. So those would be my 3 things that I would say in response to what is by the way, Ali, a very, very, very common question, and a very, 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 to Carla's point, common frustration that we have about us as a community putting stuff out into the unknown. And what we get back is crickets, crickets, crickets. And that's what causes us to get to the place of hating the hustle, hating the business, hating the blah, is we don't ever feel like there's any remuneration for our efforts, and or we don't even know what the remuneration was. Because sometimes, Ali, somebody could have gotten your note, somebody could have gotten your letter, and they could freaking love you. And they could have just said, yeah, but right now I got 3 of your type, and they put it in their drawer for a rainy day. But the problem is we don't know that, because they know they're not going to communicate the rainy day thing to you until it's the rainy day. They're not going to tell you, oh, we like it and we're considering you, but we're not reaching out to you yet. So we don't get a lot of confirming feedback either on recipient and or just on interest. We just don't. That's one of the reasons why in any form of sales, you just simply have to be intelligently repetitive in this profession, unfortunately. Okay, guys, that almost at the 30-minute mark, boom, wraps up this Show Business Scenarios Ask Me Anything, and I'll be doing another one tomorrow. So ping your friends, get your peeps, follow me on IG and YouTube, and make sure y'all come in, because, man, I would love to be able to fire out. You're more than welcome, Allie. I would love to be able to fire out 6, 7 questions every 30 minutes when I do this tomorrow again. Okay? Whee! We will see y'all real soon. Bye.